Hello everyone, welcome back to Daughters of the King. I'm Kathryn Gore. Thank you for joining me tonight. It could be a little dark in here. I am still not in my office just yet. Things are moving slow because I'm a busy person, y'all. So forgive me, but I'm in another location in my home. So I'm sorry if you can't see me, but hopefully you can at least hear me to get tonight's message. And tonight I want to talk to you about the feminist movement, okay? I'm not sure if you all heard a statement that Alyssa Milano tweeted off of social media about sons and fathers and women. And it disturbed me to the point where I wrote an article about it, and I want to share my thoughts, okay? So I titled this, Has the Feminist Mindset Gone Too Far? First I thought about, has the feminist movement, but then it clicked. The feminist mindset is really what the issue is. So the feminist movement, also known as the women's movement or feminism, refers to a series of social movements and political campaigns for reforms on women's issues created by the inequality between men and women. Okay. The first wave feminism was a period of feminist activity and thought. Okay. There's 3 waves, but this is the first one. That occurred within the time period of the 19th and early 20th century throughout the world. Okay, it focused on legal issues, primarily on gaining women's suffrage, which is like the right to vote, as well as property rights. And as I was reviewing this, I cut some of the, what do you call it? I'm going to say language. I cut some of the language out because it was too long for me to fit in the article. But as I was reviewing this and studying the first wave of feminism, it made me think about some stories in the Bible where the women, I think it's a story where the women had basically stood up for their property. It was basically saying that they were there was no boys or men that were birthed by the father. Therefore, they believed that the property should go to them, and I believe they won. So, you know, I was just thinking about that, and I was just thinking about how God is so good, because God really covers everything that we will ever face in this entire world. In Scripture, you will always find a story that relates to your issue. And this is just something how God created it. So therefore, no one will be able to say that God did not know all things, that he didn't understand all things, that his son Jesus didn't know, how to minister to people, So that was the first wave. And I understand this wave because from my understanding, the women didn't have that right to, basically they couldn't do business without a man being present. They couldn't do business and speak on behalf of what they wanted to as far as women. It had to be counseled or run by a man, and I get this to a certain point. Now, the second wave feminism is a period of feminist activity and thought that first began in the early 1960s and lasted through the early 1980s. The focus was on a wide range of issues, including sexuality, family, the workplace, the reproductive rights, They also drew attention to domestic violence and marital rape issues, establishment of rape crisis and battered women's shelters, and changes in custody and divorce law. Some of these things that I just mentioned, I definitely understand why there needed to be a voice for the women. You know, domestic violence. You know, here's the crazy part, and this is where the feminist mindset or movement doesn't agree with. Everybody knows a real man is stronger than a woman. That's just how God created it to be. He created him to work out in the field. He created him to work and do, you know, certain things in regards to his manhood. You know, after Adam and Eve fell in the garden, this is what the job of a man was going to be like, as far as manhood. You know, he was strong. He was going to take care of his family and things like that. And so I'm a woman, okay? I love my womanhood, but I am not going to be naive to think that a man is weaker than a woman. I'm not going to do that. You know, I am 43 years old and my sons both are stronger than I am. They're young, 20, 23. This is how God created the man. So who are we to constantly buck at the plan of God? And I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but we're gonna get back to this thought here. So, you know, I do get the domestic violence because there was a period where men really devalued women, and they still do. But, you know, it was on a silent, violent type thing, and it was horrible. You all may have heard recently, maybe late last year, that there was a crime of domestic violence here in Delaware in regards to, you know, close to home, the Smyrna middle school. You know, this is a sad story. A lady, I believe, she got killed out in the parking lot from her ex-husband, ex-boyfriend, and I think he shot someone else, and these women are local. They were local citizens. They were friends, two women. I think they worked in Dover somewhere, and the man killed both of them, and then I believe he ended up running from the cops, and he ended up killing himself. Where are the kids? Sad story. That right there is trauma. That's some type of trauma that changes your heart. Your heart for a long time. So, you know, this is real, and I get that women had to fight against this because, you know, it is a real thing. Today, you know, this is the third wave feminism. My thoughts about Alyssa Milano. I said you have an actress, Alyssa Milano, who's the boss childhood actor, tweeting comments such as, can we stop saying to our sons things like, take care of your mother while I'm gone? This is insinuating that women can't take care of ourselves. And this tweet may not be the full tweet, but this got a few people upset because the thought and the mindset of a feminist, I believe feminism or feminist people are on different levels. I do believe that, you know, it's just like a church. You would, you know, someone would come in under the group and they would not know as much as a person who has been there for years, you know. So I think it's just different levels of where they are. And some of the feminist women are to the extreme, and I believe Alyssa Milano is working her way there. I do believe that she hasn't reached the point where she I don't want to get ahead of myself, but she still looks feminine, which some women no longer, desire to look feminine, which is the craziest thing, because how are you going to hate men but you want to be one and look like one? So let me get back to my article, because I'm getting ahead of myself. But this statement was created from her thoughts, Alyssa Milano. And she was basically addressing the fathers, if I'm not mistaken. And she was saying that the fathers should not suggest for their sons to watch over their mother because it's a sign of weakness towards women. How bizarre is this? How bizarre is this, y'all? Wouldn't the thought of wanting to help their mother instill integrity within the young man? Wouldn't you think so? Wouldn't this help with honoring a woman versus not? Like, I thought the feminist movement was to help men recognize the value of women. This seems to contradict the movement. I just found this to be way out there, because if you are training, if you're raising your son to not have compassion, to not care and love for another human being, especially the one who gave them life, birth, but yet you're fighting in the streets trying to prove your value to men, how does this line up with one another? Like, how does this work? It just makes me feel like Alyssa is being bored and she has to say certain things, because honestly, the rhetoric or the thought or the whole, I can't even wrap it around my mind, y'all. I really can't. I believe that men are trying to, a real man is trying to build a character for their son, to have a compassion or love or just the thought of them having a responsibility outside of themselves. Do you understand that this generation is a bunch of selfish group? It's a group of people that's just selfish, and it's like every man for themselves. And I think that it is a disaster to not instill integrity inside of a young man. You know, how is a young man going to go out into the real world and be respected, to be a good citizen, if he does not respect or honor the woman that raised him? Very strange, right? So I continue on to say, don't get me wrong, I understand how all this started, meaning the feminist movement as a whole. I get how all of this started, because it did seem as if things were not fair. Now, what I don't understand is how far the feminist movement has gone. I don't understand this. The third wave feminist movement is filled with women who constantly degrade men. They constantly degrade themselves and anything that is within the proper perspective. I've seen over the past several years how women carry themselves in the feminist movement, and they are not ladylike. The majority, let me not say that, that's not right. Some of them are not ladylike. They are very they're not feminine at all, is what I want to say. And some of them come from the mindset that a man is weak and they're beneath them. And these women, unfortunately, they don't see it, but they look like a man and they act like a man. And it's the strangest thing because these women hate men. So this is full out rebellion from the things of God. This third wave movement is. The feminist mindset has allowed for women's hearts to grow cold. The truth is this: have women suffered behind the hand of man? Yes. Was it fair? No. Nobody is giving the men a pass for devaluing women. Okay. Are we still fighting this war today? Yes, we are. But what the feminist women fail to realize is Satan is the guilty party. Satan is the guilty party. Let's give credit where credit is due, right? Satan, anybody who has an open door to Satan, he will come and use their vessel. This is for women and men. But for some reason, the women are riding high in the army of Satan. And it's unfortunate because it's come to the point where the women have darkened their hearts in a way where they devalue life. You know, they do, not only do they devalue the men, but it's just life in general. The craziest thing, y'all, I have heard this week was it was an awesome conference maybe that was held by a pro-life person named Christian. I can't remember her last name. Very, very, very well-spoken young lady, and she was standing up to a bunch of women that was filled with hatred against life, against humanity. And it blew my mind because as they were standing there talking and cussing and saying that Christian, the lady, is disgusting, they were really devaluing the life of children. And one of the arguments was, how are you going to put a woman's rights over a potential life, like a potential baby, as if the baby wasn't nothing? And I'm going to tell you what blows my mind. It's all the enemy. I'm going to share it with you in the field. But I'm going to tell you what blows my mind. They got upset with Christian for saying pro-abortion. They was like, it's not pro-abortion. It's pro-choice. It's pro-choice. She said, no, if you look up the word pro-choice, it is about pro-abortion. And she kept calling the group of women pro-abortionists, and they were very upset. She said, what's wrong with the word abortion? Because, you know, abortion is not right. So they rather be called pro-choice, but it is really pro-abortion. I did a recording on this not too long ago, and I got a few people upset. And basically they were saying, I have a right to do this. I have a right to do that. And, you know, this is true, but does it make it right? Does it make it okay because you have free will? It doesn't. You know, the crazy part is this: they will get upset for being called pro-abortionists when they clearly are in agreement with abortion, but they don't want to be called that, right? So, you know, how would you, let me say this: they will be upset with a murderer who killed a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, but not necessarily upset with the woman that carried long-term, full-term to kill a baby. because a baby's life means nothing to them. And what blows my mind is they were fighting so hard against life in the womb, where I really find it to be so bizarre that they fail to realize if their mother did the same thing to them, they wouldn't be here either. So how selfish is it for these women to spit, talk, cuss, almost fight men and women who are pro-life because they have been given a chance? Meaning, it's like, let me not confuse you. I'm going to say bottom line. I heard this statement about pro-choice women who are really considered to be pro-abortionists. They hate themselves. They hate themselves. So they can't love a life that's growing on the inside of them. They can't value a life because they hate themselves. And that's that's very, very sad. I understand to a certain degree, because the enemy used to have me in that place as well. Like, just not loving myself at all, not understanding how God could love me, how my children can love me, how my husband can love me, and things like that, until God got a hold of this thing right here and finally caught my attention to, basically give me the understanding that I'm loved, I'm beautiful. And this came because of the abuse behind men, right? So I even think I had a spirit of hating men, or what is that called? A man-hating spirit, something like that. That was resting on the inside of me due to the trauma and the abuse that I had to go through with men. Now, it's a sad thing when you see that these women devalue life because they really don't love themselves. And hats off to Christian. Oh man, I wish I could remember her name. I sent the whole thing to myself because I wanna get more into the argument. These women are passionate about what they believe. They are violent. I believe that if the speaker didn't have people there that would calm the conference down, she probably would have got swung on. And that's why I said to myself, this is a bold yet soft woman who is standing up for life. And it was beautiful, y'all. I wish I could share more with y'all, but I don't want to. I still have more to say about this whole feminist movement. This whole thing is just like out of control. I think I had read something about reproductive life with this feminist movement earlier. So, here's the thing, y'all. Earlier, before I got off and talked about this conference, I was saying that Satan is the guilty party, and let's give credit where credit is due, right? To be honest, the feminist movement has destroyed both women and men. If you really think about this, the men have been displaced within their rightful place within families and society as a whole. Most importantly, the men have lost their place in God. Women feel as if they rule and men are beneath them. The character of a feminist mindset can be extreme to the point where they hate men, which is what I was saying earlier. But they want to act and be like a man, destroying any softness or meekness that was placed inside of them from the Father above. There's a special touch. We all have different personalities, but there's a special softness about women that God desires for them to carry. in a form of meekness, and meekness demands honor and respect. And it's something that God wants us to walk in naturally. Don't get me wrong, you can still be a warrior, but at the same time, you have to understand that you're not called to be a man. You're called to be a woman, okay? Now, women have fallen from their proper place in God. Most feminist women hate God and his original plan to have both men and women prosper together in the land. This is true. If you really sit down and talk to a feminist person, they support everything. They support the LGBTQ. They support all of this other crazy lifestyles that they are now, you know, coming out to say. They support women over top of men, meaning that the women rule and women are going to reign forever. Just a whole bunch of crazy stuff that's totally against God's perfect plan from the beginning. And they don't recognize God in a way where he's all sovereign. They just do what they want. Again, it's a full out rebellious type of mentality that kind of smacks it kind of smacks God in the face, but God is not intimidated by this. It breaks his heart, but he's not intimidated by this because he knows exactly what and when, how, whatever is going to change the person's life. So the enemy can do and say whatever he wants to do and say, but God has the final say, right? It's a lot of women that are coming out of the LGBTQ community, and they once were hardcore, where now they're looking softer, and they are representing a woman who carries value. So I think that is an awesome thing. Now, this is a 2-for-1 special. Basically what I said was, the men and the women are being destroyed by this feminist movement. And I said this is a 2-for-1 special that the enemy has been successful at destroying. We need to get our women and men back to knowing the truth. Okay? Back to knowing the truth. So what's the truth, ladies? What is the truth? The truth is the enemy has come to steal, kill, and destroy. Women are valuable. You already know this. We are valued by our family and communities. God has placed a uniqueness upon us in which we have much to offer. You already know that. We have natural gifts and talents that no one can take from us. In God's eyes, we are more valuable than diamonds and jewels. He loves us, and nothing can take that love away. I want you to get this in your spirit. We can stand tall and strong. We know all of these good attributes about ourselves. We can stand in this position as being a true woman, but we don't have to hurt men while doing so. We can stand in our proper place in the Lord and still be the woman of God that he's called us to be. Okay? We were created to be a help and not a hindrance. Now, in closing, I said, the enemy has a strong desire to destroy the woman and her seed, or the woman and her seed. God placed enmity, which is another word for war, between the woman and her seed and Satan and his seed as a judgment against the serpent in the Garden of Eden. You can read this in Genesis 2. Now, why did God do this? When I was studying this a few months back, it was in my spirit that God wants us to fight the enemy of our soul so we don't look or be in agreement with the enemy at all. So, we are called to be children of God, not children of Satan. We should clearly see the enemy for who he is when he steps into our territory. We need to reach a place in God that we can no longer be deceived by what the enemy brings our way. Now, it's not too late to become a true woman of God. God knows where you've been and why you've chosen to go down that path. He understands, and his grace is sufficient for your life. That's real. That's real. His arms are open wide, asking you to stand strong with him and not the enemy. Will you allow for God to transform your life? That's the question for you tonight. Will you allow for God to transform your life? Would you allow for him to bring you into the kingdom of light to destroy the darkness of this world? There's a fragrance from heaven waiting for you. I know that this is to be true because my life, my testimony, says a lot. And God is just, he knows what's inside of us. He knows exactly when the enemy has come in to destroy and taint us, and he loves us still. He's waiting for us still. Even though we have so much darkness on the inside of us, he looks at us and says, I understand, but come on, I'll help you. I'll help you if you give me the chance to. The love of God is real. I want y'all to think about that this week. I will see y'all next week, and y'all have a good weekend. And think about this, y'all. Fragrance from heaven is waiting for you. Let God do it. Let him do it. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching Daughters of the King. We appreciate your support. You can reach me at www.dotking.org. That's www.dotking.org. You can subscribe or send a message through live chat, or you can send an email to Kathryn, Kathryn, @dotking.org. This ministry is designed to speak to your heart. Feel free to share your thoughts about the message or give insight on a topic that you would like for me to discuss. We are here for you.